Since the first day the game of baseball was played, the keys to victory haven't changed. You need good starting pitching, good defense, and timely hitting. The Royals had all three yesterday in an exciting win over Minnesota. Game 2 is next on Fox Sports Kansas City. Royals baseball comes to you from Kauffman Stadium one day after an exciting come-from-behind 3-1 victory over the Minnesota Twins. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark. I'm Ryan Lefevre. And if the Royals want to win the division, obviously they have to beat teams like Detroit and Chicago, teams in front of them last year. They also have to figure out how to beat the Minnesota Twins. The Royals don't have a winning season against Minnesota in 10 years. All those frustrating years trying to figure out the middle of the order when it was Mauer, Morneau, and Kadire. Now Josh Willingham is in there. He had 35 home runs last year. All three of those guys have good numbers against Jeremy Guthrie, who starts tonight. Let's bring in Rex Hudler. Jeremy Guthrie is 34 years old, and yet he seems to get better every day he takes the mound.
Ryan, 34-year-olds, mid-30 guys don't get better. But Guthrie, maybe smarter, and he's got Salvador Perez, and you put that combination together and with his stuff, and the little turn, he's made some adjustments in his delivery. This is what we're seeing. Finely executed location. It's all about location for starting pitching to be good. And look at Guthrie. He's burying his slider. He's got a curveball. So two pitches that are really tough to hit because they go down. That four-seam fastball's up in the air, up above the hitting level, and he's able to finish him off staying out of the middle of the plate for the most part. Salvador Perez has got to get some credit for that too.
And he was great in his first start against the White Sox, striking out 9. It's the Royals and the Twins tonight.
Perez said he was so excited yesterday to play in his first ever home opener at Kauffman Stadium, and he was fired up from beginning till end, including that exciting 8th inning. Well, welcome back to Kauffman Stadium. I'm Joel Goldberg, and had a chance to talk to Salvador today a little bit about tonight's starting pitcher, Jeremy Guthrie. I said, what made Jeremy so good in that dominant start up in Chicago? And he said, everything. And we want to do all of those things again. Work in, work out, work down, move that ball all over the place, rely on the off-speed stuff in any count. He said that worked for him the last time out, and they want to duplicate that here tonight against Minnesota. And by the way, Guthrie now, the team has won in 12 straight starts for him, and Salvador Perez has been the catcher in each one of those. So Guthrie set to take the hill, looking to go to 2-0 on the season. He will throw the first pitch coming up. Ryan Lefebvre and Rex Hudler have the call coming up next on Fox Sports Kansas City.
Baseball is brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Play it forward with Missouri Lottery. And by Chevrolet, your Kansas City Chevy dealers, the official vehicle of the Kansas City Royals. And by AT&T, the wireless receiver only from AT&T Uverse. Visit att.com/freeyourtv. Rethink possible. And tonight's game is brought to you in high definition by Time Warner Cable. And now the Royals have those 3 home openers out of the way, and guys can start easing into their normal daily baseball routines.
It's amazing how big opening days are across this great nation. And then the next day, it's baseball as normal. Just routine. Everybody goes out, does their thing. Crowds come down just a little, but the excitement doesn't here at the K.
The sky is pretty harmless now, but there is weather on the way. We'll get to that in a moment. Here's the Twins batting order, and Aaron Hicks is out of the lineup tonight, not leading off in center field. It'll be Darren Mastroianni. Other changes, Jamie Carroll will be at second base, Eduardo Escobar at shortstop. So a couple of changes up the middle for the Twins, with Brian Dozier and Pedro Florimon out, at least for tonight. Facing Jeremy Guthrie, who beat the White Sox on Thursday. 1 walk, 9 strikeouts in 6 innings. And that was the Royals' first win of the year, 3-1 over the Sox.
Tell you what, those starting pitchers, man, they keep dropping those no walks out there. I mean, 1 walk, hey, that's not too shabby at all. But look, we all know what walks bring, usually unearned runs. Keep the ball down. He's got really good stuff. I mean, his stuff in Chicago was great. We saw some mid-90s with him. Two seams, sinking, running fastball. It's hard. It's a good one against lefties and righties. It works both ways. But his slider seemed to be the pitch that got all those punch-outs there. 9 punch-outs. Pretty good depth to it. He will take a little bit off of his slider, and it makes it a bigger break. So you could say a little curveball, slider, and his changeup combination, he's really good. Speaking of really good, so far, the Royals defense have not committed an error. And look, they're only human. They're going to miss their share of balls at times. But Lorenzo Cain in center field impresses me, at least he did on that road trip, with his great jumps and speed. No wonder, Gerard Dyson, he's a pretty good outfielder, man, with good speed. But Cain, he's really been able to make the most of his starts. Catching that ball in the gaps, looking really good. Escobar, he's smooth as normal. It looks good for Guthrie, who's a fly ball pitcher, by the way. Cain's going to be tested out there a little bit today.
And those two guys we just showed you, not only very good with the glove, but were right in the middle of that 3-run rally for the Royals in the bottom of the 8th yesterday. Jeremy Guthrie turned 34 yesterday. And with all those good starts for the Royals last year, he did take a loss against Minnesota. They scored 5 runs in 5 innings against him. And he starts Mastroianni off with a strike. This is Mastroianni's first plate appearance. He has appeared in 5 games. And yesterday appeared late on defense. 0-2.
Mastroianni, he's getting an opportunity because Aaron Hicks, center fielder, young guy's going to get a little chill time on the pine. Gardenhire said, my young rookie's not got on off to a great start. So let's Mastroianni go in there and play some center field. He was in his first full season last year, and he was pretty impressive. He ripped off some bags. Had 21 stolen bases last year. Only got caught 3 times. So when he gets on base, he's a threat to run.
And it's his legs, not his power, that defines his game. Look at the Royals outfield right now. And Lorenzo Cain has to fade back a few steps, but they were about as shallow as you can get for a big league hitter. So they were not concerned about Mastroianni driving into the gaps or to the wall.
No, an outfield instructor, Rusty Coons, had him play just perfectly as Cain was over in the right center field gap for that one.
Jeremy Guthrie is undefeated in his last 12 starts with the Royals. And if he can continue that streak tonight, he would tie the team record. Kevin Appier, over the course of the 94 and 95 seasons, had 13 starts without a defeat. All one to Joe Mauer. What else is new? He had 2 hits against the Royals yesterday and scored their only run, and that was in the top of the first. Minnesota was scoreless over the last 8 innings. 1-1.
Another thing that's made Guthrie so popular with his defense is the fact that he gets the ball, gets the sign, and throws it. Quick tempo.
2-1 on Mauer. Joe Mauer, with those 2 hits yesterday, is now 6th on the all-time hit list for the Twins. He passed Gary Gaetti yesterday, who also played for the Royals. Still strange to see him batting second. 3 balls, 1 strike.
That's an excellent pitch there that didn't get called a strike. Watch where this is. Come on.
Slices it into the corner and inside the foul pole for a home run. That's Mauer's first of the year and his first RBI.
Tell you don't get a pitch. There's a big difference for a hitter with a 3-run count than a 2-2 count. And so what's the pitcher have to do? He's got to come right back in there, and he did. Mauer more comfortable going to the opposite field, although he does pull the ball. But when you hit for a high average like Mauer, you're utilizing that whole field. He's trained to go that way, and he kept it well inside the foul pole there.
Every time Joe Mauer scores a run in the first inning against the Royals this year, the Royals win every time. Strike one to Josh Willingham.
You'd hope that's the case.
Yeah. Let's hope that long streak continues tonight. Willingham 1 for 3, and he was hit by a pitch yesterday. He has 1 home run so far this year after 35 last year. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the Twins are off to a slow start for the most part offensively. Their team batting average is just .238, but they've been a very dangerous team, scoring with 2 outs. Three balls and 1 strike on Willingham. The Twins have scored 29 runs, now 30 runs with Mauer's home run, and 20 of those 30 have scored with 2 outs. Not going to give in to Willingham. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
No, you know, and if the tight zone continues to be tight like it is, it's going to make it difficult for pitchers in this game. That when they don't give you the borderline pitches, you got to get more of the plate, and hitters love that.
Still 3-2.
Okay, one of the things that also helps Guthrie is the movement on his pitches. That little slider you see going away from the righty, his changeup will sink down and in. So he has some east and west movement that goes down. That helps him with the strikeouts. I'm not going to give him a fastball here.
He did, but it was in an unhittable zone, and Willingham will take the walk.
All right, he knew that he couldn't give him one right down the middle, that's for sure, because 3-2 powerful hitters like that, they're looking for it. And so Guthrie has done something in this first inning that we rarely saw at all in the last. He gave up a first inning run and a first inning walk.
And Salvador Perez maybe noticed that his pitcher was a bit frustrated with the tight zone, so he goes out there to have a quick word with Guthrie. As Justin Morneau comes to the plate, he was hitless yesterday. Guthrie started his college career at BYU. He took a 2-year Mormon mission to Spain, 1999 and 2000. And he didn't pick up a baseball once, he says, during that time, but he picked up Spanish. And so he and Salvador Perez, they've got 2 choices to make or to choose from when they talk on the mound, English or Spanish. And I've asked both of them, how do you communicate on the mound? And both of them shrug their shoulders and say, I don't know, I don't remember. But Salvador said Jeremy Guthrie's Spanish is excellent. 2-1 on Morneau, and now the fans are getting a little impatient with Bill Welke's strike zone.
What an advantage it is to be bilingual, especially with the Spanish language in this business. Huge.
And that's hit well to center field. Kane started in, but he adjusts and makes the play. It's exactly what you were talking about, Hud, right there. You get the tight zone, and well, he's going to have to find some spot to put it in the strike zone, and oftentimes it ends up over the fat part of the plate.
And that's one of the reasons why when we showed you our defense that I was talking about Lorenzo Cain so much, because Guthrie's more of a fly ball pitcher. He's not a guy that's going to give up a whole lot of ground balls. So it's important to have an athlete out there, not just one, but 3 of them, that can do just that. Go get him.
And now Ryan Domit, who drove in Minnesota's only run yesterday, and there's a strike from Guthrie. Domit has driven in 3. He is 2 for 2 against Jeremy Guthrie with a home run. One and one. Had him out in front. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Flashback. Ooh, last year. Off-speed pitch, too. He was off balance, but he just threw the head. His switch hitter with some power from both sides.
He's a strong man, Domit is, and I'm guessing that highlight we just saw was a warm, windy day, because it looked like he was a little bit out in front with the home run, but that ball still carried over the wall. I don't think he could pull that off tonight.
The wind's blowing hard from the right field foul pole to the left. The wind plays heavy in this ballpark.
There is some severe weather on the way toward Kansas City, not supposed to arrive before 9:30. And Perez holding it out there for the home plate umpire, but Bill Welke wouldn't call it a strike, and now it's a 25 pitch inning for Guthrie. Man.
I know. So look, if it's this way against the Royals, then he needs to do the same thing for Minnesota and Pelfrey when he throws. As long as he's good both ways and consistent, it's going to make it an offensive game. So Guthrie's throwing more pitches than he's used to throwing in that first inning, too.
So a full count and 2 down. Willingham, who's not a great runner, will get an early break. And Domit will pop it out of play right behind home plate. Now I lost sight of that pop up, and it's that time of night and with the overcast where the ball really blends in with the sky.
You know, and that can really play havoc on the outfielders and infielders. So I just saw Escobar turn around and look at Lorenzo Cain, and he kind of pointed to the air like, hey, look, if you lose it, watch me, I'll be pointing it out. And it's a tough feeling when that happens.
Willingham runs again, and that's grounded up the middle, but right where Escobar is, and he throws out Domit. So Guthrie gets around the home run, the walk, and the tiny strike zone, and the Twins score 1. That's what I thought. Well, here's his lineup tonight against right-hander Mike Pelfrey, the same lineup as yesterday. And again, we continued the theme that began in Philadelphia. Very few hitters have seen this starting pitcher. Only Escobar, Francoeur, and Cain, who have played in the National League, and that's where Mike Pelfrey had spent his entire major league career before this year with the Mets. 11 months after Tommy John surgery, he started on Thursday and defeated the Tigers, giving up a couple of unearned runs in 5 1/3 innings, and this is a homecoming of sorts for him. He is from Wichita, and he has about 20 friends and family here tonight.
That's really amazing, and that just tells me about Pelfrey's work ethic to be able to come back that quickly. Not even a full year. Usually it's a year plus. It's amazing. But he's got a smooth delivery. But you see at that height, 6'7", 245. Was that a strike there?
Yeah, it changed in between the top of the first and the bottom of the first.
Huh. Well, that's keep an eye.
Strike zone, that is.
Yeah, 6'7", 245. I mean, he's got a little downhill plane. He's got a hard, heavy sinker. Let's see where this last one was. Okay.
All right, yeah, it's a strike.
I mean, yeah,
it's called both ways.
But it wasn't called for Guthrie. He didn't give it to him. So
on
maybe
about 3 or 4 occasions.
Huh.
2-2. Anyway, before we started complaining, you were talking about Pelfrey.
Yeah, just how he's going to use a hard sinker. Now, at one time, and most guys did throw in the mid-90s, but he doesn't anymore. He's around 90, 92, 93 maybe. He's got a 4-seam fastball he'll use, but more of a heavy sinker. Slider, and he's got a split finger that's a pretty good one.
Three balls, 2 strikes.
Okay, now if he rings Gordon up on that, Ned might have got tossed.
Hit hard to the right side and through. That's a great at-bat. He sees 6 pitches, and after falling behind 0-2, singles on a 3-2 pitch.
Yeah, Ryan, that's really good. Not just for Gordon, but for the rest of the hitters. The more pitches you see from a guy you haven't ever faced before, better off. Ward gets around what he's got. That was a straight fastball.
Alex has now hit in 7 straight. He was hitless on opening day and now has at least 1 hit in the next 7 games. Alcides Escobar had a big hit yesterday. He was 1 for 4, but that 1 hit was the double. And Ned Yost went with the hit and run and gave the Royals a 2-1 lead. And the Royals then added a run as that ball drops. Alex is safe at second base.
Ooh, man, that's a really good read and a tough one for Alex Gordon. You want to come at least halfway, maybe a little more on a play like that, because if it is caught, the shortstop's running in the outfield. He can't throw you out at first. So Gordon, he was halfway, and I could tell that the shortstop wasn't going to get it. He looked like he was waffling too much there. So Willingham comes in and almost forces Gordon at second. Body language is everything, and fielders that are out there, guys, you could tell. Runners, you can tell when a guy doesn't have a good read on it. So Gordon, it's a good read there to get there.
So back come the Royals after Minnesota scored in the first. 2 on, nobody out to Billy Butler. And he looks at a fastball for a strike.
You see that batting average, and some fans that aren't real familiar with the game will say, wow, Billy Butler is only hitting 227. Well, that changes awfully quick when you get 3 hits in a game. He'll be hitting 330. You don't have as many at bats, so your batting average goes up very quick, all the way up to about 200 plate appearances. You have 200 at bats, then then it doesn't go up as much anymore. But you can see the batting average there through the first 5 and the last 2, how much it jumps. So don't panic when you come to seeing some of these guys average if they're not right where they should be.
And he was just right on a Pelfrey pitch. Just didn't square it up. Stays alive, still 0-2.
He wasn't quite sure, but he was swinging towards that right side to maybe find that hole over there between the first baseman and the second baseman. You see, that's a pretty big hole there. And Billy Butler, he's just kind of a guy who hits the ball wherever it's pitched, especially when he's behind in the count. And with a runner in scoring position, I'll be shocked to see him take a borderline pitch. You got to be hacking, especially if you're the premium run producer for your team, like Billy is.
Inside, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And that's a very nice running fastball to set up his next pitch. Typically, you don't want to show your whole arsenal in the first inning, or at least through the first time through the order, if you don't have to.
And now 2 balls, 2 strikes. Billy last year drove in 13 runs against Minnesota. His RBI late in the game yesterday made it 3-1, and that was a pitch that was way up and in and just muscled it out into right field. He has Alex at second and Escobar at first. And that's line fair up the left field line. Escobar is held at third, and Butler is into second base with his first double, his 10th RBI, and his 9th RBI in the last 3 days.
Okay, Gordon got it started. Escobar will take the doinker, and there's one that Billy was able to fight off. Now, that was a borderline pitch. If he takes it, it's probably another ball, but like I said, you can't be taking any pitches with runners in scoring position like that, and Billy knows that. Right by Trevor Plouffe at third base.
It also looked like he was recognizing that Pelfrey was going to pitch him in. Instead of trying to go to right field, he got around on it.
Sometimes you can sense it.
And a slow breaking ball for a strike to Mike Moustakas. There's a chance here to drive in his first runs of the year. Both Moustakas and Perez still looking for their first RBI. You got Escobar at third, Butler at second. 1-1.
Perfect time for Moose to drive one out of here.
And there it is. RBI number 1 as Escobar scores. Butler goes to third, and the Royals lead 2-1.
Okay, so the Royals are doing something that we haven't seen a lot of. First inning runs. That was his split finger. Maybe a little changeup combination there as the ball went away from Moose, but Moose stayed on it. That's a great stroke there. He stuck that ball. That's what you say when you stay back and then you just throw your hands right to it. It's down low. Excellent swing. So Pelfrey's not fooling the first 4 hitters.
So 2 runs in the first inning. Those are the first runs the Royals have scored all year in the first inning. And as good as the Royals had been later in games, now this was before tonight. 2 runs in the first 4 innings, 31 innings 5 through 9, and this was a trademark of the Royals in spring training. They came out swinging in the first inning. They did a lot of scoring in the first inning, and now 2 against Mike Pelfrey and still nobody out.
But what they've done with scoring all those runs late have developed extreme confidence. Whenever they do fall behind, they can catch their opponent.
And now Salvador going for his first RBI. He takes a pitch that was up. 0-1. 2 hits yesterday, which is probably no surprise to Minnesota. He had .390 against the Twins last year. And drilled into deep center field. Mastroianni into a dive, and it's out of his glove. Butler scores. Moustakas to third. Perez gets his first RBI, and it's 3-1. Bud, did he have to dive for that ball?
I don't think so. I mean, it looks to me like if he'd have stayed on his feet, he might have had a better chance to catch it, but he left his feet. And he caught it in the heel of his glove. The ball hit him there. Now let's watch it again. Yeah, see, when you alligator arm it like that, and it hits the heel, that's the last place an outfielder wants to catch it.
Yeah, it looked to me like he could have caught that ball by staying on his feet. And now breaking ball for a strike to Hosmer.
Yeah. Sometimes, you know, those balls are hard to judge, and it didn't feel good landing on that ball either.
Second and third, nobody out.
When you get a guy in a situation like that, and your first 5 guys get base hits, you don't feel sorry for your pitcher or your opponent. You want to go ahead and just pound him, continue to just score as many runs as you can, bat around if you can. That's just what Minnesota would do if they had a chance to do that. Big guy on the ropes early, you'd go ahead and finish him.
Out over the plate, and that's into the same corner where Mauer hit his home run. And in the 40+ years at Kauffman Stadium, it's pretty amazing how many times a ball will straighten out. Denny Matthews has always referred to that as the Bermuda Triangle. How many high fly balls look like they're going to go foul, and at the last moment they will straighten out.
Okay, there is a great numbers right there. 400 batting average with runners in scoring position. Don't get any better than that. Stay hot, fellas.
1-2. So the Royals now have scored more runs in the first inning tonight than they had in the first 4 innings combined before tonight. This is what they did all spring training. They were ready to go every game in the first inning with the first pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Jack Maloof and Andre David, they're splitting the hitting coaching job this year for the Royals, and they said they've been able to really convince Hosmer that he doesn't need much of a stride with his front step. So he's not doing a lot with it, and it's giving him some nice balance and is keeping his hands back. Just a little bit quicker on that inside pitch.
Still 2-2.
Okay, there's still nobody out, and Pelfrey's expended 24 pitches already. Okay, Guthrie expended 28, but he got all 3 outs. There's still nobody out.
That'll get a run home. It's the first out of the inning, but the Royals will trade a run for an out as Moustakas comes down from third. And it's 4-0 as Hosmer drives in his 4th.
All right. Twins defense has already been challenged early in this one. Mastriani, the center fielder, he's getting a chance to spell young rookie Aaron Hicks. So Mastriani kind of thought he would get challenged early, and he did. And wasn't able to come up with the out. Didn't help Pelfrey any.
Jeff Francoeur with Perez at second base. 0-1. And I've been saying that over the last 5 games we've been talking about all these National League pitchers where Francoeur has the most experience against them. Kevin Correa yesterday. Mike Pelfrey tonight had pitched in the National League exclusively before this year. And Francoeur has 19 at-bats against Pelfrey with 6 hits.
Salvador picked up his first ribby. Maybe Frenchie can do the same here.
1-2. The inning began with 5 straight hits. Gordon singled, Escobar singled, Butler doubled. That drove in a run. Moustakas singled. That drove in a run. Perez doubled. That drove in a run. And the only out that Pelfrey and the Twins have gotten in this inning, that produced a run. And now Pelfrey has his first strikeout.
Hey, Pelfrey was keeping that ball away from Frenchie, and Frenchie, he was hacking at it. He was trying to pull the whole time. I thought when he swung wildly his first time, that he gave, all right, there's my 1 home run cut. Now I'm going to shorten up my swing a little bit and just try to get that run home, but he didn't. He took 3 swings like he wanted to hit a homer.
Lorenzo Cain got the Royals going in the bottom of the 8th inning with a leadoff double against Kevin Correa. The Royals were frustrated all game with Correa, just really couldn't get anything going against him, and then Cain led off the 8th with a double. Getz bunted him to third. Gordon drove him in. Escobar drove in Gordon. Butler drove in Escobar, and just like that, the Royals had a 3-1 lead, and that was the final. Up the middle, into center field. Perez around third. Mastroianni's throw is offline. It's a 5-run bottom of the first inning.
Okay, I loved Salvador Perez's lead at second base. I was thinking to myself, man, he's off a long ways. He's thinking about stealing a base here, but look how far off he was. Look at that secondary lead. He's on contact already halfway to third. So that's an excellent takeaway and a jump there that Salvi was able to get to score that run. And, you know, bad news for Minnesota is not just the 5 runs in the first. The Royals won't stop till this game's over. Unless it gets so far out of hand that they start pulling back some, but we haven't seen that.
Pitch out, and that wouldn't have been a bad idea to run with Cain at first, 2 down, and Getz at the plate.
One of the best compliments a team can get is when the former manager, or not former, but the other manager on the opposition, has got over 50 years of baseball experience, says they play 9 hard. They play all 9.
Although that's not the way he actually said it.
No.
Let's get a better Charlie Manuel.
Charlie, what do you think about those Royals? Good. They come to play and they play all 9.
That's better. Because before that, that was the California version of Charlie Manuel, and it's not the same as the Virginia version of Charlie Manuel.
I'm constantly working on my accents, but you know, when you imitate somebody, it's a compliment and it's flattery. I love these guys. It's fun. I just try to give them the best I can.
And now Getz with a good swing, left center field. Mastroianni runs it down as the Royals bat 9. They open the inning with 5 straight hits, and all 5 of those hits turn into runs.
This season, we're seeing some great plays already. That was a nice one in Philly right there. Lorenzo Cain has been all over the place. Moose coming in, showing you some excellent plays on defense. Yesterday, Salvador Perez was a beast. He was coming out of there like with a cannon, throwing guys out. And look, so far early in that first inning where Guthrie expended 28 pitches, I gotta give the love to the coaches, man. The defensive coaches there have been having these guys lined up exactly where they want them. Rusty Coons, the outfield coach, and Eddie Rodriguez, the infield instructor.
There's Eddie.
These guys are so far has them playing where they're hitting them, and that's the idea.
1-2 from Guthrie to Trevor Plouffe, who was 1 for 4 yesterday. Sliced into the right field corner. Long run for Francoeur, and that's a fair ball. Landed right on the line. So Plouffe is at second base with nobody out. That is his second double of the year.
Well, Plouffe's living right. I mean, that ball hung up there for a long time, and for it to bring up some chalk down that line, that's pretty fortunate. So Plouffe makes the chalk go poof. There it was. Look at it. Right. Yeah. No doubter. Umpire can't miss that one. Any part of the line the ball touches.
They got the right side of the line. And now Chris Parmalee takes ball one. The Royals, going back to last year, had a tough time getting him out. 2 hits yesterday and a walk. He's 11 for his last 22 against the Royals. He faces Guthrie for the first time. And his ground ball to the right side will get Plouffe to third. 1 down.
Okay, they were playing Parmalee to pull on there, but let's show you earlier. Okay, watch this. Lorenzo Cain is all the way up at the top there. He's all the way at the top. Right there. Didn't have to go far for that one. And then Escobar, look where Escobar's playing. Esky's right over here. That ball's a clean single if they're playing straight up. So far, the defensive lineman has helped Guthrie.
0-1 on Jamie Carroll, who starts for the first time. He's at second base. Brian Dozier is 0 for his last 11, so Carroll gets the start against Guthrie. Runner at third with 1 out. And a slow roller to Moustakas. Out at first, and Plouffe made a move down the line but decided to hang on.
I think that's a good idea because Hosmer, he throws like a quarterback, man. He's got a good arm, so if he would have went home, I'm sure that Gardenhire wouldn't have liked that decision to try to score 4 runs down. Great play by Moose.
Here's our Toyota League leaders. And coming into tonight, Royals, one of just 3 teams in the major leagues with no errors. Royals are known for their defense. Detroit and Boston are not. But there they are without an error. And we already have 2 teams who have committed 7 errors, the White Sox and the Nationals. The Royals defense, first week of the season, has been just as advertised. 1 ball, 1 strike on Eduardo Escobar. Pedro Florimon started it short yesterday, and now Escobar tonight came over from the White Sox last year in the trade that sent Francisco Liriano to Chicago.
I'm sure Florimon's a little sore today.
After taking about 7 spikes to his leg. And Escobar drives in Minnesota's second run. And he was already hitting .429 with 3 RBIs. So Escobar picks up Carroll, who was not able to get Plouffe home from third. and it's a 5-2 game.
That's a nice, short, quick swing. Watch this. Oh, that's beautiful there. Took the bat right to the ball. Didn't try to do too much. Hit it right back where it came from. Solid.
And now Mastroianni again. He hit the ball hard first time, lining to center field. Now a little dribbler out to Guthrie. He will throw him out. And Minnesota trying to peck away at the lead. They get one in the second. The Royals lead 5-2. Hey, every Wednesday is Ink Student Night and Local Music Showcase. Just show your valid student ID at the box office, and you'll get a $7 ticket. And the first one is tomorrow night. As Alex Gordon leads off and swings to the first pitch, and that's a fair ball.
Now he's got three.
He's going to give it a shot. The first relay throw was high. And that really hurt Jamie Carroll's chances to make a good throw to third. Alex is 2 for 2, and that's his second triple of the year.
Pelfrey tried to sneak a piece of cheese by a hungry rat like Gordon. Gordon pulled his hands in and laced it by Morneau. And it bounced 2 times off the wall. Whenever you get 2 kicks, Gordon saw it, says, I'm going to keep going. Got to keep my feet, don't try to slip. Never try to slip, but he almost went down. Nice start. Royals picking right up after that 5-run first inning, which we haven't seen all year. It's kind of young, though, in the season.
Infield in halfway for Minnesota. Ball 1 to Escobar.
It's like how Gordon's aggressive this year. He's much more aggressive than I've seen him in the past. It's because he's hot. He's one of the few that's carried over spring training into the season. Beautiful swing.
Slider for a strike. And in a baseball play on words, you will hear the word ambush come up. And what that means sometimes is that a hitter who has a reputation of taking a lot of pitches, pitcher will think he can just lay one in there and he will ambush the pitcher. He's not ready for Alex to jump on that first pitch. Or maybe that's the approach of an entire offense. I hear that term being thrown around. You know, they ambushed me. They did something against their norm.
But for Gardenhire to have his infielders in the second inning tells me that he's does not want a little ground ball in the infield to score Gordon. So Escobar can do all he can to slice and dice here.
You know, another thing that plays into tonight, you know that both managers are aware of the weather, and some extreme weather is supposed to arrive sometime between 9:30 and 10. So even though the plan is to go 9, both managers want to make sure that if they can have things in their favor once we get to 5 and it's an official game. So that's probably playing into Ron Gardenhire making sure that the Royals don't turn this into a big inning. Might only have 5 innings to play with tonight. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
It's possible.
Or perhaps Ron Gardenhire isn't thinking about the weather at all.
No, you know what? Gardenhire is an outstanding field manager. So look, he knows everything. These guys don't miss a beat.
Another foul ball, still 2 balls and 2 strikes. That weather on its way from Wichita. And we mentioned that that's where Mike Pelfrey grew up. His father was in the Air Force, so he was born on an Air Force base in Ohio, but spent most of his childhood in Wichita. Went to Wichita Heights High School, went to Wichita State, still lives in Wichita. Set a Shockers record with a 2.18 ERA in 2005, and the Mets took him in the first round that year. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Okay, not only are they hitting Pelfrey, but he's already thrown 42 pitches.
7 of those to Escobar, who has taken the count from 1-2 to 3-2.
And there's still nobody out.
We'll do it again.
You know, I'm talking about Gardenhire, how he didn't miss a beat. He won his 900th career game as a manager July 2nd last year at Detroit. You win that many games as a big league manager, I guarantee you, you're checking the weather, you're checking the temperature of your players, you're doing everything.
You're making sure you've got somebody warmed up in the second inning like Anthony Swarzak. When your starting pitcher has thrown 43 pitches in 1+ innings. Escobar pops it up, and that will land in the seats. Alex is 2 for 2. He's hit in 7 straight, and Pelfrey, after the 5-run first inning and all the pitches that he threw, 34 in that inning, just trying to get ahead and throw a strike, and Alex was ready and tripled into the corner. Line, base hit left field. So Escobar is 2 for 2. So he wins that long battle with Pelfrey and drives in his 5th run of the year.
I tell you, after you hit around, I don't care what inning it is, but especially in the first and the next inning, you get to come to the plate. Man, that's a bonus. You're like, all right, I get to hit again next inning. And that'll really hurt a pitcher when you foul off pitch after pitch after pitch and have a 10-pitch at bat, and then you win it with a single and RBI. That's demoralizing. So Pelfrey obviously missing out over the middle of the plate tonight.
Billy had a steady diet of pitches in on his hands last time up, and then made the adjustment and turned on one and hit a shot at the left field line for his first double and his 10th RBI. And you could tell he was just trying to get a runner home, trying to guide it to the right side. Got the bat head out, drove in the first run of the game. Escobar is 3 out of 3 in stolen base attempts. And he's got Pelfrey's attention.
And that's probably not a good thing for Pelfrey because, you know, you're facing Billy Butler. He could put 2 more on the board in one swing. You don't keep your focus where it should be.
Over the inside for strike 1. Royals now have hit 19 doubles with the 2 in the first inning, Butler and Perez, and they were tied for the league lead in that department when the game started. Got it in on him. Mauer and Morneau, and Mauer almost stepped on that weighted sleeve that the hitters put on the bat, so it's just standing up in the on deck area, and Butler is the first out of the inning.
Yeah, there's that weighted sleeve there. That's, you know, always when you go over there, you see the weighted bat there, the pine tar rag, rosin bag. You know, those things, they're in play, and when catchers go over there, sometimes I've seen guys trip and fall and go down. And that didn't happen there.
Mike Moustakas drove in his first run of the year with a single that got Escobar to the plate in the first inning. Hit almost 400 in spring training with 16 RBIs, and he had 5 home runs. And every year there's one guy, if not more, but there's one guy that makes a statement the first game of spring training that I'm not just going to ease into this thing to the regular season. I'm ready to go right now. And in my opinion, this year, that was Mike Moustakas. Home runs for the Royals last year, drove in 73, and then had to play with that sore knee the last 2 months of the season. Didn't complain about it. Never used it as an excuse, while the coaching staff used it as an explanation. Moustakas didn't want to hear anything of it.
Well, to me, Moose looks a lot stronger this year. He's strong last year, but this year I think he trained to endure all 162, and now he knows what to expect. So that's the maturity that you gain after your first season. You know what to expect. Now you're like, okay, I'm going to have to train accordingly because I want to go all if I can. And it takes a lot of work. These guys, you know, like Chris Getz, he told me he didn't take but 1 week off in between season last year. He went right to work. Speed acceleration programs, doing all kinds of stuff, and it keeps them busy, and it gives them an edge mentally when they know they report to camp in the best shape they can be. They're ready for a championship season. That's what you tell yourself, no matter what team you're with, where you are, what the predictions are for your team. You have to have that mindset.
Just missed outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You really can't train for it until you've lived through it, right? I mean,
exactly.
Guys show up for spring training. Young guys show up for spring training every year. They're in the best shape they've ever been. They're ready to go, and yet there's something to be learned, especially when you have to play that 6th month when the minor league season is only 5 months. Getting through that 6th month in the big leagues.
You know, after this season, they'll be calling Moose and Hosmer veterans. That's how quickly it happens in baseball. Because you don't have your whole life like a movie star does to make movies and make his pictures and make his money. You only have a short time in your life to do it. That's why you mature quicker and you called a veteran.
And that segues nicely into Mike Pelfrey and how he was able to come back from Tommy John surgery in 11 months. And his thinking was, I've got a very small window of opportunity to pitch in the big leagues. He's been around for a while. He got to the big leagues in 2006, and he knows he doesn't really have the luxury, if he wants to have as long a career and successful career as he'd like to have, that he was determined to be ready on opening day. It's not going very well for him so far tonight, but that's Pretty remarkable. 29 years old, when most people will say that it really takes a year and maybe a year and a half until a guy feels right in the big leagues. This guy did it in less than a year.
A sense of urgency. Some young players refuse to believe that. They're going to be young forever. Oh, how quick it happens.
Moustakis, did he get a piece? He did.
And not only right now is Pelfrey missing and the Royals aren't missing, so they're scoring some runs, but these foul balls are killing Pelfrey. They're wearing him down. I mean, we've seen several hitters now fouling off pitch after pitch after pitch. That just wears you down. And if Moose wins it with a big knock here, whew, just continue to demoralize his mentality there.
And now inside, 3 balls and 2 strikes. 20 pitches or more is considered a long inning. And Pelfrey had 34 in the first, 21 in the second. But there's only 1 out in the second inning. And Swarzak has been warming up all inning, so depending on what happens with Moustakis here, Pelfrey could be down to his last pitch. Escobar runs, and Moustakis hits it high and deep to center field. And Mastroianni in front of the warning track makes the play. That ball hit in June, July, and August. It is much closer to the wall, if not over the wall.
Pelfrey's working up a sweat in this one. Finally gave Moose a pitch out over the middle he can handle, and he just got under it. We saw Moose hit a few home runs over the center field fence last year. Not a lot. His power is at, right center, right field, but not too many guys hit homers out there. 410, that's a long way.
Salvador Perez and Mike Moustakis both collected their first RBIs in that 5-run first inning. Moustakis with a single, Perez with a double. There are a couple of plays that really turned the inning in the Royals' favor. Escobar's bloop hit looked like it was an out when he hit it, but it found a spot in between 3 Twins out in left center field, and then Perez out into right center field, and Mastroianni went into a dive. The ball hit the heel of his glove, and Perez ended up with a double and an RBI, and the Royals scored 2 more times after that. Sometimes when you're an outfielder, all it takes is a couple of people sitting next together in the stands behind home plate with white T-shirts, and you can lose sight of the ball. 2-1 on Salvador Perez, and there is losing the ball in the sun, and then sometimes you can lose a ball in the stands. You can lose a ball in somebody's shirt.
And lots of times, if you don't get a jump right off the bat, you don't catch the ball.
No swing. 3 balls and 1 strike.
Okay, he left his feet, but look at his arm. His arm is not fully extended, and it hit him in the heel of the glove. So that tells me that he probably on the dead run would have had a better chance of catching it in the webbing. That's where you want to catch it. But you know what? He missed it. It's over. Royals capitalized.
Perez back to the batter's box as Bill Welke pulls him back in. Called the pitch on the corner. Salvador may have said, that's fine, just make sure my guy gets that call. To Plouffe. And that's the inning. The Royals get the run back. Alcides Escobar drives in Alex Gordon, and the Royals have another 4-run lead.
Kansas City. It is Sprint Unlimited Answers. What question do you want answered? A, do umpires talk between innings if they notice a small strike zone? That from Andrew Monroe. Derek Lynn, other than the big names, what Royal will make the biggest impact? C, when Paulino and Duffy return, what will their roles be? That coming from Matthew Scott. And Todd Beers, HUD, any new adjectives and HUD verbs for the season? Text 432-432 and enter A, B, C, or D. Adjectives.
That's a good term. Ball 1 to Joe Mauer. You're on a website right now. Is there a Rex Hudler website?
No, but
there's some terms that you're not even aware of that you've said on the air?
Yeah, I mean, I went to it and it said the Rex Hudler quotes, and I'm looking at some of this stuff and I'm going, really? I mean, of course, with a 3-hour game, you're 13 years of broadcasting. There's a lot of things that come out, but man, some of these, I'm not so sure.
Joe Mauer to left center field where Lorenzo Cain runs it down. Mauer homered his first time up. Put the Twins on the board first, and then the Royals got 5 in the bottom of the first. Fans, you've known for years that StubHub is a great place to find the seats you want to see the Royals in person. Now they've added StubHub fan rewards. You can earn a little extra with your tickets, like seat upgrades. So head to StubHub and get your Royals tickets today. HUD?
StubHub.
0-1 on Willingham. He walked in the first inning. One on Josh Willingham. Think about the Twins, and they've had a lot of power in their lineup over the years, but you have to go back to 1966 for somebody who matched what Josh Willingham did last year. 35 home runs, 25 doubles, and 100 RBIs.
He's strong, but his pitch recognition, he tells me, is just like that.
Oh my.
Yeah. He recognizes when a ball is elevated at the belt. He sees it soon. He told me. He says, hey, just like that. Fortunately, there's nobody on base.
The Royals now have allowed 10 home runs this year. 8 have been solo home runs.
Then that's exactly when you give them up. Not that you want to give them up. Solos, they don't hurt near as bad as the 2 and 3 runners. Any pitcher will tell you that.
So we haven't seen a scoreless half inning yet. And now inside and ball 1-2. Justin Morneau, who lined to center field in the first inning. Twins made some coaching changes during the offseason, and they, speaking of power hitters, they brought on a new hitting coach. Tom Brunansky would be one of those guys that you would think would have come close to the season that Willingham had last year, as Morneau is thrown out. But Tom Brunansky, Kirby Puckett, Barry Gaetti, Kent Herbeck, and there's Tom Brunansky. But you got to go all the way back to Harmon Killebrew, one of the greatest power hitters, one of the greatest gentlemen in the game. A Twins hitter with 35 home runs, 25 doubles, and 100 RBIs before Josh Willingham last year.
Yeah, and I got a chance to chat with Bruno before the game, and he said he's been in the minors for a couple years with the Twins and some with the Angels. And I'll have to finish the story again.
Can't wait. Doman grounds out. Minnesota gets a run. The Royals lead 6-3 to the bottom of the third. He and his late wife Sandy lost a daughter due to an eating disorder, and as a result they have worked hard to keep the issue in front of the legislature and the public. He's a Warrensburg native. John has shared his story with the Missouri government and with students and families. Praised for his self-sacrificing ways and positive attitude, and has had an impact on everyone he's met. We have a mutual friend who called me yesterday and told me that John would be in the Buck O'Neil legacy seat. And this friend, who went on to become a Missouri judge, said simply, "Best, John is just the best guy ever."
It doesn't get much better than that. That pretty much explains it. Congratulations.
That's past her bedtime, but I think she's enjoying the Royals' 6-3 lead. If that little gal likes scoring, well, tonight is her game. We haven't had a scoreless half inning yet, and Minnesota is going to dip into the bullpen before we get to the bottom of the third. Anthony Swarzak is the Chevy call to the bullpen. He's appearing in his second game. He started the year on the disabled list. 0-1 facing Eric Hosmer. So the Royals get 6 runs, 8 hits off of Mike Pelfrey in 2 innings. They had a 5-run first and then added a run in the second. Hosmer grounded out in the first inning, but drove in a run in doing so, his 4th RBI of the year. high. And into right center field for a base hit. Hosmer takes an aggressive turnaround first. That puts a smile on Hud's face.
I love that. I like a guy that goes hard all the way out of the box, around the base, and make the outfielder stop you from going to second. Once you hit first base, you look up. Okay, watch him look up right here. Okay, he's making up his mind right there. And then after you do that for a while, you get a reputation, and then a ball creeps up or kicks off the guy's glove and you continue into second base. That makes that outfielder a little bit nervous the next time he goes after an Eric Hosmer ground ball. That's how you do it.
And now ball 1-2, Francoeur, who struck out in the first.
Okay, we've talked a lot about that front foot. Now we're looking at his upper body there, though, but he's got really good balance. A lot of folks understand the importance of Eric having a bounce back season this year. We're all hopeful that happens.
2-0. And this is another weapon that Hosmer has. I mean, it's his bat and his glove that you think about more than anything, but don't forget about his legs. And he stole 16 bases last year. He has 1 stolen base this year. And it would be easy to just forget about a guy like him with all that power potential once he gets on the bases. We were talking the other day in Philadelphia about first base coach Rusty Kuntz, who's also the base running coach, and talking about some of the young Royals that just have good instincts on the bases. Eric has a knack for getting that walking lead. He's got some movement going forward. He'll start with a very short lead. Pitcher doesn't think he's going anywhere, and he kind of starts to shuffle his feet. And there he goes.
Well, he's a very good athlete, but he's smart. He's got good instincts over there at first base. Get a short lead, and then you just kind of, casually walk into it. Get better jumps lots of times that way.
3-1 on Francoeur.
Okay, Frenchie swung really too hard in his last at bat. Right here, 3-1, he's geared on something straight and out over the middle.
And that was out over the middle, and it's into left center field and all the way to the screen. Hosmer is around third. No throw to the plate. Francoeur drives in his first run of the year. And the Royals now have scored in each of the first 3 innings. And once again, they have a 4-run lead.
Now, Frenchie would have loved to have taken this ball for a drink. No question. He'd like to hit it in the fountain. But he'll take it. He split the gap. And look at Hosmer. We talked about his athleticism and his good speed. He's off to the races. Coming hard. Watch how he hits the inside part of the base. Young baseball players out there. Get you around quicker and smoother.
So tonight, Mike Moustakas, Salvador Perez, and Jeff Francoeur have all driven in their first runs of the year. The Royals have 7 runs, 10 hits in 2 innings plus 2 batters. And now Lorenzo Cain, who drove in the final run in the 5-run first.
Okay, watch Frenchie's eyes light up when he sees this ball coming in right where he wants it. Look at that. Really good head position. A hitter can sense a cookie a mile away.
And now he's going to take a shot at third. Got a good jump on the ground ball from Cain, who goes hustling up the line. So it's a productive out for Cain to get Francoeur to third, 1 down.
Talk about how Frenchie's picked up a half a step. It's quicker.
Correct.
So, he's able to make a pretty good running decision on that one there. Typically, with ball hit right at the shortstop or to his right, you freeze.
Infield in on the left side, halfway in on the right side for Getz, who takes ball one.
Okay, Swarzak, he's got a fastball 88 to 92, big curve, slider, occasional changeups, but he's going to go mainly fastball, sliders.
Fouled away. Swarzak had an embarrassing injury during the offseason. He was in Minnesota for Twins Fest, just like Royals Fan Fest, and just goofing off with his teammates. And he ended up breaking 2 ribs on his left side, wrestling with teammates. Hoped that would heal before opening day. Didn't quite heal, so he started the season on the disabled list, but back at the end of the first week. Remember a few years ago, and I want to say it was in Tampa Bay, Jim Hickey was the pitching coach there. Remember, he was goofing off with Grant Balfour in the Rays clubhouse, and Balfour strained an oblique muscle and had to go on the disabled list at a very important time in the season for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I remember that.
Shallow center field, and Francoeur is going to go halfway because Mastroianni basically would have been throwing from the infield, so not deep enough to get the runner home. 2 down. After the Twins are gone and this series wraps up tomorrow night, the new look Toronto Blue Jays will be here over the weekend, and Sunday will be Family Fun Day, so bring your friends and family out for the first weekend of baseball in Kansas City. You can get your tickets now at Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. And it'll be good to see former Royals bench coach John Gibbons, who is back managing the Toronto Blue Jays, off to a 2-4 start. In fact, they lost tonight, so now they're 2-5. Alex has singled and tripled. Came around to score both times. Both times he was leading off the inning. Now trying to drive in Francoeur from third. Slice to the corner. Long run Willingham, and he runs it down and saves a run. But the Royals answer Minnesota again. They get a run in the bottom of the third. Jeff Francoeur's double gets Hosmer to the plate, and the Royals lead 7-3. support for Jeremy Guthrie as he begins the top of the 4th inning. He has allowed 1 run in each of the first 3 innings. He throws a strike to Trevor Plouffe, who also led off the 2nd inning with a double and then scored on Escobar's base hit. So Minnesota now in their last 2 games against Jeremy Guthrie, they've scored 8 runs in 8 innings. Two balls, 1 strike. Two and two. Plouffe, Parmelee, and Carroll coming up here in the 4th. And we'll do it again. Foul ball.
Now, Guthrie may not be quite as sharp as he was in his last outing up in Chicago, but maybe for this outing here, his teammates pick him up and score some runs. Take him, cut him some slack. You can't pitch at that level every single outing. You're going to have some suspect outings, and I wouldn't even call this is not a suspect outing by any means. He looks good, but he's not as sharp as he was in Chicago.
And Plouffe chops it out to Escobar. Oh, a good start to the 4th. And now Chris Parmelee coming up. Parents, sign your kids up for Sluggers Blue Crew, brought to you by the Learning Quest 529 Education Savings Program. Members receive a great batting practice jersey, a Royals hat, blue wristbands, ticket vouchers, priority access for the Sunday Fun Run, and much more for just $25. Go to Royals.com/Blue Crew to sign up right now. Making ball for a strike to Chris Parmelee. He grounded out to Hosmer in the 2nd inning. Minnesota's 1st-round pick in 2006. That's a little high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Minnesota, for many years now, has been a team that is built from within. They had that great run of 6 titles in 9 years from mostly homegrown players. And Ron Gardenhire in his lineup tonight has 3 former 1st-round picks. Chris Parmelee, Trevor Plouffe, and Joe Mauer. Mauer was the 1st overall pick the year that he was drafted, a Minnesota kid out of St. Paul.
Well, I was talking earlier about new hitting coach for Gardenhire, Tom Bernansky. And Bernansky, I asked him, is it hard for you to come up here in the 1st year and get your philosophy to sink in with some of these guys? And he goes, Hud, the young guys know me. As he was a hitting coach at AAA Rochester last year and in AA the year before. Those guys, they all know me and know my style, and I know them. And the veterans, as he takes one on the corner, that's a nice change up there by Guthrie. The veteran guys, Hud, he said, they're already here. They're already established. So really what you do is you just kind of watch what they do. You watch them, you listen to them talk, and then, as the season goes on, then you make little tidbits here and there. But I'm mostly a mental coach for the veteran guys. But the young guys, they lean on me a little heavier. So it's a good move for Gardenhire. And his hitting coach in the past few years, Joe Vavra, he moved to the 3rd base coaching box.
Jamie Carroll grounded out to third in the second inning. And now backhanded at third by Moustakas. High throw, but Hosmer goes up to get it. And Jeremy Guthrie has his first scoreless inning as he gets Plouffe, Parmalee, and Carroll in order. Panera Bread. Try pasta the Panera way. Live consciously, eat deliciously. And by Ford. See the new F-150 at your Midwest Ford dealer today.
Boy, some great shots in the background of the Negro League Museum. Man, if you get a chance to go and you haven't gone, go learn about the history of baseball there. I mean, this is a mini Cooperstown right here in Kansas City. Beautiful place to go.
And they have a big day coming up the day after tomorrow. The movie 42 about Jackie Robinson premieres on Thursday. Got a chance to see Bob Kendrick yesterday, the president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, who was here yesterday for the home opener.
I got to see him too. What a bright man, a great personality, big smile, perfect guy for that. To run that place over there. It's beautiful. I mean, you learn so much about the history of baseball, not just about the Negro League past and the history of the great game that they used to play back then, but they developed a lot of the modern day baseball like we see it today. Back then, lights for the first time in ballparks, a lot of things that I didn't even know. And you go back the second time, you learn more than you learned the first time. So great place to take young people if they're baseball fans, or even you more mature baseball fans.
One and two on Alcides Escobar. Bob Kendrick, by the way, if there was a contest for the best dressed person in Kansas City, I'd start with him. Wow. No chance. He was casual yesterday, and I told him, you know, you're the best dressed when you're not even dressed up. And his casual gear just, you know, some guys just look good in everything. I think Swarzak wanted that pitch, but Escobar is still alive at 2-2 with Butler and Moustakas to follow.
Ooh, he wanted that one. That's a good spot for any pitcher to put on a hitter if it's going to be out over the plate.
3-2. It's a Red Sox sweatshirt. Deep short. Escobar gets a hit off of Escobar. And Alcides is 3 for 3.
hit that ball hard to the left, to the right of the shortstop. It's up to him to flash the leather. He almost did here. And there's another one that really, and he didn't have to dive for or leave his feet, but they gave him an error on that?
Wow.
Ooh, I don't know.
Well, if you score along with us, write it down in pencil. I don't think that's going to last very long.
Boy, that's a hard, hot smash to a shortstop backhand. I mean, he ranged 4 or 5 steps to get there, too. It wasn't like it was right at him. I don't know if I agree with that one.
The entire Royals dugout right now is looking up at the press box with shocked looks on their faces that was ruled an error. One ball, one strike. I believe the rule book describes ordinary effort, right?
I think so.
That was a little more than ordinary effort for Eduardo Escobar to make that play. My opinion. Billy lifts it to right. And Parmalee makes the play. So Billy is 1 for 3. And Alcides Escobar is back to first. Here's tonight's AT trivia question. Who are the other 3 National Baseball Hall of Famers who played their final major league game as a Royal? I can think of one who has a link to both teams. In fact, we've said his name tonight. Harmon Killebrew. Did Orlando Cepeda play for the Royals?
He might have went somewhere at the end of his career, but he was a Giant as far as I know.
Mike Moustakas, 1 for 2, got his first RBI of the year in the first inning. The Royals got 5 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third. 1 ball and 1 strike. Orlando Cepeda, yes, did finish his career with the Royals.
All right.
Thanks to Doc Carruthers, our stage manager, who's always here to help. You know, we get to the trivia question, and you know, we're just trying to play along. I think part of the deal is for us to guess, right?
It is.
And then the truck becomes like a library all of a sudden when you're trying to get some feedback as to whether you're on the right track or not. There's Doc. Doc got on his iPhone there and looked it up, brought it over here to confirm that not only did Orlando Cepeda play 1 year with the Royals, but it was his final year. Moustakas got it down around the end of the bat. Parmalee to the line and makes a play in foul territory. 2 down.
I think the questions really are for our listening audience out there. Really, I mean, we just kind of guess along with them, but you know, they get a lot of research and help in the truck for those questions. We should be able to get a little help up here.
Can we get some? So Salvador Perez. Royals have 3 hitters in the lineup tonight who drove in their first runs of the year. Moustakas, Perez, and Francoeur. Ball 1 to Sal, who doubled off of Mastroianni's glove in center field in the 5-run first inning and came around to score. I guess when you put the word other in quotations, that means that George doesn't qualify.
I figured that. Nice play. She brought her glove to the game for a reason. That beautiful bat right there. You know what they call that finish on that bat? That's called flame tempered. Okay, they dip it up to the label and then they flame it. They take some kind of burn device and they flame it, make it look nice and pretty, and you see the grain really well on that bat.
Good pitch over the outside, 1-2.
Hitters can order any color, any size that they want. There's flame tempered, there's all kinds of different colors. A lot of guys like black, some of them like half of a black bat.
What did you prefer?
I preferred black because I learned from Freddie Lind, great baseball player back in the day. He said, Hud, when you swing that bat through the zone, infielders can't pick it up, can't pick the bat up as quick with a regular ash bat. It's this regular white color. He said, so any edge you get, you hit a ball hard and the infielder can't see it. And then I learned that as being an infielder, I agreed with him. I said, wow, Freddie, you know, you're right. You can't see it.
Perez swings over a Swarzak pitch. Inning begins with an error. Royals are scoreless for the first time, but they lead 7-3. Scored in every half inning in the first three, and then two scoreless innings in the fourth with Rex Hudler and Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery. I'm Ryan Lefevre, and the first thing that stood out for me in the game today, aside from all the offense, was both pitchers had to deal with a very small strike zone.
Yeah, especially that first inning. I know when Jeremy Guthrie went out on the hill, the umpire was really tight with him, and he really tried to make some adjustments, was pitching kind of his game, but unfortunately was not getting the calls. And I know from a pitcher standpoint that's tough, because especially your first inning out there on the mound, you want to try to get some of those calls and maybe get some outs with him, and he was not able to get that.
And the term that's used in dugouts when that's happening is they say I'm getting squeezed by the umpire.
Exactly, squeezing the strike zone so it's so small you can't hardly hit it.
So it typically happens when there's a small strike zone and a pitcher's putting one in the strike zone, at least according to our grid. And some of the pitches were inside the line. I mean, they were really in there. And, well, then I guess you have to find more of the plate, right?
You have to use more of the plate, and as a result, oftentimes the scoreboard's going to light up, and we saw that early in the game.
Bill Welke is the home plate umpire. And after, I'd say, first, second inning, then we haven't heard much mumbling and grumbling from either dugout. It's been a more fair strike zone.
whether you're a starter or a relief pitcher, oftentimes your first few pitches on the mound, you're trying to get the feel, not only for your bearings on the mound and how things are working, what pitch is working for you, but getting a feel for the umpire as well.
Yeah, and you know, in the umpire's defense, Bill Wilkie, he too is trying to get a feel of his strike zone.
Yeah, he's going to try to check out what pitch is working for you. Is that slider finishing off the plate? How am I going to call it? Breaking balls are the hardest ones for the umpires to call.
Did you see that final call in the Texas-Tampa Bay game last night?
Yeah, Joe Nathan on his 300th save.
Wow. With Ben Zobrist of the Rays at the plate. Oh, man. Ooh, Eduardo Escobar. And the Royals were very shallow in the outfield, and he almost hits it into the fountains.
Opposite field. Check his bat.
It's a third home run for Minnesota. And for Escobar, it's his first major league home run. That didn't look like a guy who just hit his first major league home run to go opposite field that deep.
Oh, you know, and after his first base hit in his first at bat, short, quick stroke right to the ball up the middle. I said, wow, that was good. This was even better. He got underneath. The minute he hit it, I could tell that ball, it wasn't walking. He got elevation on it.
Rex, it's amazing how the game's changed. I can't remember a middle infielder back in the late 80s, early 90s hitting a ball out of then Royal Stadium, now Kauffman Stadium, opposite field, and that thing was out with some clearance.
Oh, Here are the fans that ended up with that baseball, and they have to start fine-tuning their negotiation skills, and now Moustakas doesn't handle a ground ball from Mastroianni. And I say negotiation skills because I'm sure somebody from the Twins will be on their way out there trying to get that ball back for Eduardo Escobar's mantle.
Wow, this kid is saying, hey, look, I've arrived. Fastball on the outer half and up. Hit it just where you want to hit it. Weighted back. That ball was perfectly struck. Okay, well, we knew they wouldn't go all 162 without making an error. And there was the first Royal error of the season.
Looked like it came up on him just enough to get him on the wrist or the heel of the glove instead of in the webbing.
Typically we see Moose with his glove out front. And he picks that. He let that ball get a little bit deep on him.
1 ball, 1 strike on Mauer. He homered in the first inning. Willingham homered in the third. Escobar has homered in this inning. So 3 home runs for Minnesota, but only 4 runs because all 3 home runs have been solo home runs. It was Mauer's first home run and his first RBI. Not the pitch he was looking for, and Guthrie's ahead. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And I can read Salvador Perez's body language. See Mastroianni at first. Guy could steal some bags. But Salvi's saying, please go. I want to show off a little. Quick release. Great throwing arm.
Getz will underhand to Hosmer. Well, that's the first out, and Mastroianni goes up to second base.
Right, we're going to take a look here. Joe Mauer, first inning. See this ball out in the middle part of the plate. Got him extended. And in the second inning, double here by Plouffe. Now Willingham, another ball in the middle part of the plate. He's going to go deep. This pitch may have been elevated with purpose, but Escobar was able to do some damage with it there, going the opposite field with it. We go in the fourth inning. Seemed like Jeremy Guthrie got a little more focus, and I think that's one thing. Ryan, we've talked about a closer going out there with a big lead. After the Royals scored 5 runs in that first inning, it was almost like he didn't quite have the same focus until that fourth inning. He went out, seemed like he was more locked in.
Now you got to be careful with this guy, Josh Willingham, a strike. And Willingham hit an impressive home run into the Royals bullpen in left field. his second of the year in the third inning. Guthrie walked him in the first. And that's Mastroianni at second base. He reached on the Royals' first error of the year, and it comes in the fifth inning of game number 8. 0-2. The Royals had never gone 7 games to begin a season without committing one single error. Got him. Not what Willingham was looking for. Perez was so excited he thought it was the third out. Second strikeout for Guthrie.
Looked like Guthrie put a little extra oomph on this one. He reared back and let it go, man. That ball surprised Willingham.
Maybe been looking for the breaker away, got the heater in.
He locked him up.
And now 0-1 on Morneau, who is lined to center and grounded out to second. So the home run by the number 9 hitter, and then an error, and then the dangerous Mauer, Willingham, Morneau, and Domit coming up. And so far Guthrie has gotten through 2 of those hitters without any damage, and now Morneau right to Getz. So the Twins get a run, then they get a runner with an error. But Guthrie gets the big 3 of Mauer, Willingham, and Morneau without any more damage.
Answer the question now sent in at FS Kansas City. What question do you want answered on our Sprint Unlimited answers? 42% of you say, do umpires talk between innings if they notice a small strike zone? We see them get together, guys, for other calls. But how about this one? And then I've got a hint for you, too, on that trivia question.
Okay. Guys, are you aware of umpires getting together in between innings and consulting one another about how the game begins and how the strike zone begins?
I'm going to say no. You don't see any of the other umpires coming to home plate or the home plate umpire going out to the first base or third base umpire and talking.
You might see a pitcher or a catcher or maybe a manager just maybe ask questions that up or down or where you give me a little feel for your strike zone, but I've never seen umpires either, right?
0-2 on Eric Hosmer. That is Adrian Johnson, the second base umpire. If they did, you guys say they don't, but if they did, that would be the guy, the second base umpire, who would be able to evaluate the strike zone more so than the first and third base umpires.
But they do talk after the game, just like ball players do. Well, they might share that.
They might say, "Hey, do you think I was squeezing?"
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure they do. They talk.
Joe Madden was talking a little bit after the game last night.
Oh, my.
But not like he could have.
Hosmer strikes out. That's 2 for Swarzak, who's been in there since the 3rd inning. Mike Pelfrey, who was so good on Thursday and beating the Tigers, did give up an earned run in 5 1/3 innings. The Royals scored 6 runs, 8 hits off of him in 2 innings. What'd you see, Monty?
Well, Ryan, I saw a guy that I don't know is 100% ready to be pitching big league level right now. I know from coming back from surgery, you work really hard to get physically ready to perform. You go to spring training, do everything you can do. See a ground ball out, number 2. But the hitters let you know when you're ready. You know, Rex brought up a good point between innings. He pitched against Detroit. The temperature was in the 30s in his first outing. Got through 5 1/3. Gave up, I think, 2 unearned runs. But tonight, it was obvious that he just did not have exactly what it took. Now, I don't know if that was a residual from trying to bounce back after his first outing. But I can tell you from my experience after coming back from surgery, that, again, the hitters let you know, and you feel really good in the bullpen. You feel really good during spring training. But when the bell rings on opening day, that volume gets turned up to 110, and you only got you've given 100% all during spring training. Maybe convince yourself and convince the pitching staff and your general manager you're ready to go. But I just didn't see a guy that looked like he was 100% ready to go tonight.
What?
I agree. Keep it simple.
That ball's hit hard. Escobar makes a nice play at short, and the Royals are scoreless in the 5th. So to the 6th. The Royals have a 3-run lead.
Take a look at that trivia question now. The other 3, meaning other than George, National Baseball Hall of Famers who played their final MLB game as a Royal. Let's give you guys a hint. You got the 2. You're still looking for the 3rd. The Royals were the 8th and final team he played for in the big leagues. Only played 14 games for them. Started all 14 and went 4-4.
So I've got another hint. Vaseline.
Ding, 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 ding. Gaylord Perry. And, I bumped into John Wathen a little while ago, and that was the one that was stumping him, too. And then he realized, wait a minute, I caught the guy throwing all those. And he said, one time I caught one of those spitballs on a stolen base attempt and got the wrong side of it and sent it to the outfield. But he actually said that Gaylord did not do that stuff anywhere near as much as what people thought and what hitters thought, but just all the things that he did on the mound had everybody thinking it was coming.
Escobar throws out Doman, who's 0 for 3, 1 down in the 6th inning. Yeah, that routine that he went through where he was, touching the bill of his cap and the back of his cap and his ears and, the back of his neck, that chances are when he was doing all of that, he was not doctoring the baseball, but at least trying to put that in the back of the head of the hitter.
And I knew as a pitcher, if I got the hitters, ask the umpire to have me throw the ball in and check it, made you feel pretty good that they're maybe not picking it up quite as well.
Into shallow right field, and Francoeur retires Trevor Plouffe, who is 1 for 3.
You know, Pascual Perez unfortunately passed away here not long ago. He had long hair, you know, and he would put on his Jerry curl or whatever they you know, he put on his hair to kind of keep it shiny and nice, and he would use that. He would use it, and he would just, you know, go to the back of his head, and Whitey Herzog finally called him on it. He waited till he was dealing. Midway through the game, he was shutting him down, and then he went out there and had the umpire go check him out and stop the game for a while, you know, and that messed him up. It messed Pascual up. It mentally threw him off, and that was a good managerial move, strategy to have the umpire go check it.
The Royals had a pitcher, a lot of fans remember, Hippolito Pichardo, had that same hairdo and used that same probably liquid or whatever, that curl that he used in his hair. Hitters thought the same thing, that he's doctoring the ball, but I don't think he ever did. He just had a great natural sinker.
Now, when you cut the baseball, you scratch it or you blemish the baseball, it changes the aerodynamics. What would the moisture do to the ball?
Well, as a pitcher, if you're going to throw a spitter, you want it to kind of squirt out of your fingers. Think of a watermelon seed, squeezing a watermelon seed, how it just kind of jumps out of your fingers. That's what a good spitball does.
So, yeah, I mean, that.
Not that I've thrown one, but.
So that takes two type of skills. I mean, first of all, to get it on the ball without anybody noticing, and then controlling a pitch the way you just described.
Right. And a lot of pitchers can call what you call a dry spitter, where they don't even really need a foreign substance to make it have that exact action.
Marmolese slices it to left field. Alex makes the play. Well, Guthrie has his second 1-2-3 inning. We go to the bottom of the sixth. The Royals lead the Twins 7-4. First inning, our AT U-verse replay, a 5-run first inning for the Royals.
Yeah, and you know, that was the only ball that was not hit hard. Escobar's doinker over the shortstop head. The rest of them, they were all tattered and battered. They were scorched. And it was good to see some Royals get their first RBIs of the year. Lorenzo Cain, he bounced one through. So it's great to see. We haven't seen runs scored in the first inning by the Royals all year, but they got 5 in the first tonight. And they added 2 more in the second and third inning.
Chris Getz will lead off the 6th, which is our Sonic Slam inning. It'll be Getz, Gordon, and Escobar. Ball 1 to Getz, who has flied to center field twice. Our contestant is Mike Herder. You want to go with Herder from Lenexa? Hoyter. $800 if the Royals hit a home run in this inning. And again, flies to center field. He's been hitting it at Mastroianni all night. And there is one down. Of course, if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, then Mike wins $25,000 from Sonic and the Royals, as Anthony Swarzak has now retired 7 in a row and 11 of 12. Okay, we're talking about spitballs and doctoring the baseball last half inning, and now we've got a prop, and we're gonna. Monty never did anything like this, but if he did do something like this, this is what he would do.
I did toy around a little bit and play, but I never did in the game.
Okay, Monty, you could cut the ball, with a sharp cut or anything like, say, right here. Okay. And you'd give it to me, and I would just throw it because I didn't make a living throwing the ball. I wouldn't know how to make it break. How would you make this ball move with a cut right there?
What you'd want to do is use this seam, this scuff mark, this cut that you made, like Ryan described. It changes the aerodynamics, and it's almost like when you throw a wiffle ball, how the cuts on that baseball will cause it to just move sideways. And that's really what a scuff ball does. You just throw it like your two-seam fastball, but all of this resistance on the side will make it go the other direction. So that's how you do the scuff ball or the cut ball.
Okay, now after this next pitch, show us how you would throw it with maybe some kind of a foreign substance that was slippery on the ball. How would you make it move? I wouldn't be able to do it as an infielder, and you give it to any other infielder, they wouldn't know what to do with it either.
Yeah, you can use HUD's mousse in his hair.
His mousse, or I'll use my chapstick. Okay, if I'm going to get some foreign substance on here, which is going to make the ball slip out of my hands, okay? So I get my fingers on that slippery part, or on that Vaseline part, and then when I throw the ball, it actually tumbles out. It comes out, you know how a good forkball does, where it just tumbles out and rolls this direction, and you throw it hard. You throw it as hard as you can, and then right at the end, the bottom just drops out of the thing.
Okay, and now hitters can see that, and they go, I haven't seen that very often. Sir, excuse me, umpire, Mr. Umpire, could you check that ball, please?
Right, when you see a pitcher's arm motion, and the ball's just really, like I described earlier, like a watermelon seed, if you put it between your fingers and squeeze it real hard, it just kind of jumps out of there. That's what happens on a spitball.
That's outstanding stuff, Monty. We know you never did that.
If I could have controlled it, I may have tried it.
Alex is out, 2 down in the 6th inning, and that's why some fans wonder when a pitch is in the dirt that the hitter will say check the baseball, or the umpire will. In fact, nowadays they don't check the baseball anymore. They just throw it off to the side. I can remember when the umpire would inspect the baseball because a ball in the dirt or a ground ball on the infield would put that little blemish on the baseball, and that's exactly what the pitcher wants.
One time up in Montreal, Bryn Smith was a pitcher, veteran pitcher. I was playing second base. A guy hit a double. They throw me the ball, and I'm running it back in to the infield, and I looked at it, and there was a huge gash because some of the bats are cupped at the end of their bats, so there's going to be a gash mark in it. I looked at it, and I threw it off. I threw it off the field running in. Okay. I didn't think anything of it. We get in the dugout, and Bryn Smith chewed me out, saying, Hud, who said you could throw that ball away? And I said, man, the thing had a gash in it. I just was just doing what anybody else would do. And he goes, Hud, I was getting outs with that ball. What? Who gave you permission? I mean, he was mad. He was angry. I go, look, sorry, man, I'll never do that again. Scolded me.
I remember Bob Tewksbury, who was a control pitcher, and I got to be around him at the end of his career, and he told me a story that something like that happened to a baseball, and the fielder walked it to him in the mound and said, have fun with this. And he said, I think he said, like, it was the best cut in the world you ever won on a baseball. First pitch, fouled into the seats. Gone forever.
Darn it.
Well, the thing is, if you're going to try to make a living and rely on that pitch, you better have something else go along with it, because it's not gonna. They're gonna catch it at some point.
One of the great highlights or moments in that department. Remember when Joe Niekro was pitching for Minnesota, and he got caught with the emery board in his back pocket, and he tried to, they inspect his pockets. He tried to throw it off to the side. Remember that?
Yep.
Kent Herbeck tried to stand on it so the umpires wouldn't see it. He got caught with an emery board. And he was a knuckleballer, so he said he used to file his nails down with that.
It was our homegrown talent, Steve Palermo, who was the umpire. And I remember
Palermo, looking at that, he crinked his neck. He bent his neck over like, I saw what just came out of your pocket. What was that?
You know, the thing about it, though, he should have told the umpires, I've got an emery board in my back pocket. There's no way I can pull it out of my pocket, cut the ball, and put it in without you noticing. But when he tried to throw it away, and he was a character, too. I mean, that just kind of fit the personality. Speaking of highlights, we were talking about this earlier. Let's go to a Mazda game break. Here's that final out. We were talking about small strike zones. How about a big strike zone in Arlington last night? Joe Nathan, the former Twin, going for his 300th save. Ball 4, right? Wrong.
You got to read his lips.
To end the game.
Look at Nathan, the guy who threw it.
Joe Nathan saying, I'd have 500 saves if that was the strike zone. That ended the game. And Joe Madden is telling the home plate umpires, I am not going to like you on Facebook.
But Joe's a classy guy. I loved his quote. He said, look, this just can't happen in Major League Baseball. Yeah. Marty Foster, home plate umpire, he said, you know what, you're right. I made a bad call. Wicked pitch, though. Monty, I might be asking for him to check that ball.
Yeah, exactly. That thing had a cut and Vaseline on it.
You see how that thing dropped and moved away?
Trick the umpire.
Look at that.
Whoop. That was a tremendous movement on that pitch.
Grounded to Morneau. He'll underhand to Swarzak. Swarzak has retired 9 in a row and now 13 out of 14. To the 7th inning. Royals still in front, 7-4. Major League Baseball and People Magazine are looking for veterans in our community. 30 veterans, one to represent each Major League team, will be recognized at the 2013 All-Star Game. That's July 16th on Fox. And to nominate, go to tributeforheroes.com. Ryan Lefebvre, Rex Hudler, Jeff Montgomery. 7-4 Royals. And 10 of the 11 runs were scored in the first 3 innings. And only 1 run was scored in the middle 3 innings. So the hitting has cooled off. Anthony Swarzak out of the Minnesota bullpen has slowed down the Royals' bats. And Jeremy Guthrie, who gave up 3 runs in the first 3 innings, has allowed just 1 run over his last 3, trying to go 7 innings. He is at 99 pitches. And the Minnesota Twins will send up their 8, 9, and 1 hitters. And in the Royals' first 7 games, only 1 time has a starter failed to go 6 innings. And that was Wade Davis in Philadelphia. And if not for the National League rules, he was just starting to find it. He would have gone 6 innings if that was an American League game, but Ned Yost decided to pull him for a pinch hitter.
I'm anxious to see him tomorrow in his Royals home debut. I know the last 4 or 5 batters, it seemed like he kind of found his release point was much more effective, as we heard Ned Yost after that game talk about. So hopefully he can carry that into tomorrow's ball game and give the Royals another strong start.
Francoeur makes the play in right field. 1 down in the 7th.
You know, Monty, there's something that has to be said about a starting pitcher who is really on top of his game like Guthrie's been, and then maybe have a game like this where, look, he still looks good. He's good enough to get these professional hitters out, but he may not be as sharp, but still has a way to find a way to stay in the game and compete and win. Well, that's the guy's courage right there. You know, his intestinal fortitude, whatever you call that, right?
Well, he's pitching to the situation too. He understands he needs to get things going after the first inning. They got some runs for him, and he really kind of went out and made things happen here. Going to get hopefully through 7 innings for Ned Yost.
You know what this outing reminds me of? Or actually his first 2 outings. Jack Morris, who many people believe should be in the Hall of Fame, didn't have a great ERA in his career, but this is what Jack Morris did. You know, he always, you know, if his teams was, when he would get knocked around, just enough to win. When his team wasn't scoring runs, well, that's when he'd pitch his best game.
Rex, you know what I really liked about Jeremy Guthrie's first start? The Royals had lost the first 2 games of the season. They needed somebody to step up, and he did it in a big way. So that showed me a lot from him.
Guthrie has retired the last 8, and Minnesota has only 1 hit against him since the 3rd inning. He has thrown 8 pitches in this inning, 7 strikes. And he's finishing strong, and he throws ball 1 to Darren Mastroianni. He was lined to center, grounded back to the mound, and reached on an error. 2-0. Guthrie trying to become the 3rd Royals starter to go at least 7 innings.
There's a beautiful firm 93 with some good action on it. Look at that. That's a perfect spot.
Yeah, he's throwing the ball well. He's pitching downhill, hitting at spots, especially down.
3-1. Tim Collins is ready in the bullpen. If Mastroianni gets on, he could be available for Joe Mauer.
The pitch before that was better.
Right center field. Kane dives, trapped it, able to keep it in front of him, and that holds Mastroianni to a single.
That's right. And he knew that when he left his feet, he's going to have to alter his glove angle, because you can tell as you're in mid-flight, if you're an outfielder, you can tell if you're not going to get to it or not. So then that's when you turn your glove up and keep it from getting by you. Watch him. You want to keep it in front of him. He turned his glove up so he could knock it down. See that? You want to keep it, hit him in the head off of his glove. But still, watch the last minute how he turns his glove. Turned his glove, and it's a good thing he turned it. If it would have stayed flat, it would have bounced by it. So that's a good play.
So 2 down in the 7th. Guthrie departs with a 3-run lead, tips his cap to the crowd, and Tim Collins is a Chevy call to the bullpen to face Joe Mauer. Jeremy Guthrie, 110 pitches, 6 2/3 innings, and puts the Royals in position to win the game as Tim Collins comes on in the 7th inning with a runner at first and 2 down, getting ready to face Joe Mauer. He was excellent in 2 outings in Philadelphia.
Yeah, we're going to see some of his strikeouts. Here we see first Jimmy Rollins going down on strikes and Chase Utley take a called 3rd strike. Big boy Ryan Howard down on strikes, and Eric Kratz, hey, wait a minute. Strike 3, see you later.
Well, we thought this might happen, but remember Alcides Escobar batting in the 4th reached on what was scored an error by Eduardo Escobar that has now been changed to a hit. So the 3rd hit for Escobar. No error on the other Escobar as Collins throws outside and ball 1 to Mauer. Collins has faced Mauer 6 times. Mauer is 1 for 4 with 2 walks. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes.
Imagine these guys had a chance to know each other a little bit on the World Baseball Classic team.
Two balls, 1 strike. And it was the World Baseball Classic team that kind of slowed down Tim Collins' spring training. Didn't get the work that he needed, and that showed in the final 2 weeks of spring training. But whatever bothered him in spring training, he figured out in the Philadelphia series.
Yeah, he came out of the gates in his first appearance. It's just really same Tim Collins we saw, especially the first half of last year with that tremendous curveball.
Grounded to Moustakas. He'll go the long way to first and gets Mauer. So Collins comes in, gets the final out of the 7th inning. Stretch time at Kauffman Stadium. It's still the Royals 7 and Minnesota 4.
Royals up in the 7th as Panera takes us around the American League. Miguel Cabrera, 4-hit day. Toronto continues to struggle. New York all over Cleveland, 14-1. And the pitcher formerly known as Fausto Carmona, Roberto Hernandez, roughed up by the Texas Rangers. Other scores, Washington wins it in a slugfest. Jake Peavy giving up 6 earned runs, and Gordon Beckham left the game with nerve irritation in his wrist. Oakland, LA, Houston, and Seattle just underway. And Ryan, I know we see the new pitch here, but stop me if you've heard this before. Carlos Carrasco, after giving up a home run to Robinson Cano,
threw behind somebody's head,
threw at Kevin Youkilis's head, missed him. He was tossed. We seen that before?
Let's see. Well, we've seen this before. Billy Butler with a base hit as he greets Ryan Presley to begin the 7th inning. Joel, are you thinking Melky Cabrera home run in Cleveland, next pitch behind Billy Butler's head?
Yeah, and you know what? He was serving that suspension at the start of this year because then he went on and got hurt with, I believe, Tommy John surgery. So that suspension carried over from 2011 and was served at the beginning. Something tells me there might be another one coming.
Ryan Presley was taken in the Rule 5 draft by Minnesota, coming out of the Boston Red Sox organization. So making a big jump. And the rule of the Rule 5 means that Minnesota can take Presley from another organization out of their minor leagues, but he has to stay in the big leagues all year. Moustakas hit that one up into the rain, which is just starting to fall. So he's 1 for 4, 1 out in the 7th inning. You know, this is a very delicate situation because you can understand the risk, you know, taking a player that it's usually a jump from A ball to the big leagues when you do the Rule 5. And you have to protect the guy with the feeling that, you know, if he makes it through a year, then we can send him to the farm system. But oftentimes you never see much from that guy after that. They really miss out on that year of competition, pitching or playing regularly.
Yeah, it's good for the player to start his clock on the big league service time, and he gets a good paycheck, and he's all for that. But he's missing that experience that you talked about. And I know front office people, when they make up that 40-man roster in the offseason, they're like, man, we're not going to put this kid on. We'll keep our fingers crossed and hope nobody takes it.
Well, Nate Adcock's a Rule 5 guy that the Royals experimented with a couple years ago and up and down in the big leagues last year, but he certainly has a role now, and hopefully he's able to continue to develop and contribute at the big league level at some point.
Hit hard to third, and Plouffe begins a 5-4-3 double play. Now it's raining a little harder. So Presley comes on, faces 3, and we go to the 8th. The Royals lead 7-4. Position. They are preparing the tarp, and they might be getting ready to roll it onto the field. Trevor Vance, longtime head groundskeeper of the Royals, just out there talking to first base umpire Brian Honora to give him a weather update. Started to drizzle at the beginning of the bottom of the 7th, and before the inning was over, it was a good steady rain. Now it's backed off a bit, and we knew several hours ago that the rain was going to arrive sometime between 9:30 and 10 o'clock, and it was right at 9:30 when the rain started to fall. And the Royals would like to see the weather hold off for another 9 outs as Tim Collins begins the 8th inning against Josh Willingham, and a changeup for strike 1. Willingham homered in the 3rd inning. He's 1 for 2 with a walk. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, if you judge by the radar, and of course with our computers these days and our mobile devices, we're all kind of amateur meteorologists, and the cell I'm looking at, when it gets here, they're not going to be able to play through it. There's as much red and orange as there is in this cell as there is green and yellow, with the orange and the red being the heavy rainfall. Willingham into left center field, and Kane will play it on a bounce. Willingham is held to a long single. Fans, you can vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com or by visiting any Rally House or Kansas Sampler store, and you'll get a chance to go on the field and meet the winning player before a Royals game. Now Collins will pitch to the left-hand hitting Justin Morneau, as Kelvin Herrera is starting to warm up now in the Royals bullpen. Big win yesterday in front of the sellout crowd, home opener. Come from behind win. And maybe most importantly was the 8 innings that Irvin Santana pitched, because Ned Yost was not going to tip his hand before the game. He doesn't want Minnesota to have accurate information. And when people asked would he use Herrera and Holland for a 3rd straight game, Ned said, you know, I don't know. But then today he said they were not available. So Santana goes 8. Crow gets the save. And now Herrera and Holland are available again. There's Irvin, 8 innings. Gave up a run in the top of the 1st inning and none over his next 7. 7 strikeouts, 1 walk to win his first game as a Royal.
And that's exactly what Ned Yost is looking for when they acquired him. Outings like that, I'd love to see if he could stay healthy and put up another 200+ innings this year.
Into the rain. Alex makes the play in left field. Morneau is 0 for 4. And now Ryan Domit comes to the plate, and before he digs in, let's go to Detroit with a Mazda game break. That's Torrey Hunter, the former Twin, the former Angel. That is career hit number 2,000 for him. And the Tigers beat the Blue Jays 7-3. So much to the delight of Torrey Hunter, his friends, his family, Minnesota fans, Southern California fans, Tiger fans, and Lorenzo Cain, Royals center fielder. That was his favorite player when he was growing up, and there are a lot of similarities between Lorenzo Cain and a young Torrey Hunter.
There are. I mean, physically, they look a lot alike. And the way that they swing, we chronicled that last year when Torrey was with the Angels. They both have the same type of swing. When they swing, they fall back. And then they have a little bat flip he showed.
Both of them really hit the ball well to right center field. 2 balls and 1 strike on Domit. And both have $1 million smiles. Lorenzo Cain and Torrey Hunter.
Yeah, they do.
2-2 on Domit. Well, the closer gets most of the glory, and he gets the stat, the save, but sometimes the so-called save, saving the game, the most dangerous part of the game, can be before the 9th inning. And that might apply here to Collins, who had to get Maurer for the final out of the 7th, and now going through Willingham, Morneau, and Domit in the 8th. Chance for 2. Escobar gets Hosmer. Another good outing for Tim Collins. thunder roars over Kauffman Stadium as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Royals lead by 3. They're trying to hurry things along here as the Royals lead 7-4 in the bottom of the 8th inning. The rain is falling and a big thunderstorm is probably out in the parking lot, about to make its way over the field, and the grounds crew is ready to go. Trevor Vance again out talking to the umpires. That may or may not have something to do with the weather situation. Eric Hosmer didn't think he went around, but ruled that he went too far. Maybe he did. Hosmer now facing Ryan Presley, who took over in the 7th inning, his 3rd major league appearance, and now Hosmer strikes out. So Eric is 1 for 4.
Hey, Ryan Presley, you know, he's got a good hard fastball. He'll reach 95. He's got a nice power curve and occasional changeup, and we talked about him being a Rule 5 guy, so he's brand new. Looks pretty good.
Now, you never want a hitter to go up there and try and make an out, but it wouldn't be a bad idea. Here's why. Greg Holland is warming up and getting ready to come into the game. If we don't get to the top of the 9th inning because of the rain, diving play by Plouffe. Boy, that's an excellent play. Trevor Plouffe, who called Mike Moustakas during the offseason and said, hey, help me become a third baseman like you, made a very Moustakas-like play. Just to finish the thought, Holland's getting hot, as they say in the bullpen, ready to come into the game. If we have a rain delay before we get to the 9th inning and it lasts for an hour or longer, that might wipe out Greg Holland for the night.
You're right. Good observation.
So Frank Coeur 1 for 4 with that ground out, and now ball 1 to Lorenzo Cain.
Well, as late as it is in this ball game here, I'm going to take a wager that umpires are going to let him play.
Cain has his 2nd hit. So he jogs into second base with a double. And for Lorenzo, that is his 2nd double of the season.
Okay, 2-hit night for Lorenzo on a ball that he should have struck hard somewhere. But lots of times, those are atom balls right at somebody. So he'll take it as he's able to find the gap. And, man, that ball, well, wasn't walking. That was hit hard.
And now Chris Getz, who will try and keep the ball away from center fielder Darren Mastroianni. He has flied to center 3 times. And maybe the Royals have been instructed to go up there and get hacking. Let's get this game over with, get the closer into the game. So close to a victory, and the 9th isn't an automatic. Just because we get to the 9th doesn't mean the Royals are automatically going to close it out. But the same time, you don't want to lose Greg Holland for a night and he doesn't even get into the game.
I've never known a hitter that's ever going to give away an at bat. I don't care if it's a snowstorm or hurricane or what. Hitters, they are very prideful in their art. And you know, it's easy for me and you to say, yeah, I'm going to go up there and just get into an out.
Well, I'm not saying make an out. I'm just saying be aggressive.
There's a lot of times you hear in the dugout, first ball hacking, let's go. First ball swinging. And if you don't swing at the first pitch, you get fined. Now, those are usually spring training games late on the road or something like that. But tell me Getsy's not trying to get Kane in here with a knock. Pretty selfish individuals when it comes to hitting.
Well, Getz gets a base hit right here. You don't have to worry about Greg Holland in the 9th inning.
There you go.
A 4-run lead.
Not going to happen.
Willingham will make the play. So Kane gets a double. He's stranded at second. And we head to the 9th. The Royals have a 3-run lead. And subscribe to MLB.tv and watch every out-of-market game live online in HD. Features include choice of home and away broadcasts, DVR functionality, and multi-game viewing options. Visit MLB.tv to order and join the millions of fans already watching games. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Greg Holland going for his second save. Trying to bounce back after his last 2 outings in Philadelphia. Blown save on Saturday and then pulled from the game on Sunday in favor of Kelvin Herrera.
Okay, Holland's best pitch is strike 1. Okay, and his next best pitch is strike 2. So he can get to that split finger. That's most guys' plan. But look, nobody's perfect. And he hadn't had a lot of work. I'm making excuses for him. He's not hurt. He's just a little bit rusty. And they've been working with him. He said his mechanics felt fine. Dave Island told me they're fine. It's just a matter of getting some work in and getting some confidence going early this season.
Trevor Plouffe is 1 for 3. It's line to left. And Alex makes a difficult play. That ball sailed on him. 1 down.
Difficult. That was an amazing catch because let me tell you, it's very hard on a ball hit a low liner like that right over your head to track it. But he turned the proper way. That helped him. And then look at his focus. Watch that ball all the way in his glove. That's a Gold Glove catch right there.
A difficult play made to look easy.
Oh, boy, he's brilliant.
Chris Parmelee is 0 for 3. Holland misses down and in, ball one. Kind of like the calm before the storm. It was raining pretty steady for a while. It looked like they're about to bring the tarp onto the field. And now we're seeing lightning. So we're down to a very light drizzle. There is a big thunderstorm on the way with heavy rain. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I just heard it's pouring buckets in Overland Park. It's not too far away from here.
Didn't get the call. 2-1. Guthrie went 6 2/3. He gave up 4. Collins an inning and a third. He didn't give up anything. And now 3 balls and 1 strike. Holland was excellent last year against the Twins. He pitched 7 1/3 innings and he struck out 16. Two.
Okay, he was looking for that. Had he not swung, it might have been ball 4. Might have been up a little bit. Salvi doing all he can to command Holland back there. Greg's got a nice big slider, split finger. Sets all that up with his fastball.
Ball 4. Normally down to first with 1 out, and now Minnesota is going to send up a pinch hitter. Coming up after the game, Boulevard Royals live from Rivals out in right field with Joel and Monty. We'll be talking about Jeremy Guthrie and the Royals' 5-run first inning. The Royals had done hardly any scoring in the first 4 innings all year. In fact, scored only 2 runs in the first 4 innings in the first 7 games. But they scored all 7 of their runs in the first 3 innings tonight. Wilkin Ramirez is going to bat for Jamie Carroll. Wilkin Ramirez made the Twins out of spring training as a non-roster player. 2 out of 5 with an RBI. Oh, 2.
There you go. He used the split finger to finish him off here.
Wasn't a strike, but he went after it. So Holland follows the walk with a strikeout, and there are 2 down in the 9th.
Yeah, that's what he does. Gets him to off-work that split finger. And if you're a young kid like Ramirez, you've never seen that before. Look at this, comes out of his hand. He's thinking fastball all the way, and he's got no chance. And really, you think, wow, that ball was way out of the zone. But that's how easy it can be if you're a hitter to be fooled. Yeah, the footing not very good right now, even though it hasn't really poured hard rain. It's still moist enough to stick on the cleats and not get a good grip. So here comes King Kong.
Fastball is high to Eduardo Escobar, who hit his first major league home run in the 5th inning. It's not often a guy hits his first major league home run and then a few innings later he's referred to as King Kong, but it was a King Kong home run the other way. Very impressive. Below the knees, 2-0.
I guess that was low. He's always trying to guide him
straight with his shoulders and his landing foot coming straight downhill there. You can see Salvador with the sign language out there saying, look, no, don't turn open that shoulder. Fall off to the side, come right to me. Right out over the top.
And the Royals are one strike away from taking game 2. Shallow center field. Kane is going to play it on a bounce, and now it's off his glove. No further advance. Escobar has his 3rd hit, and that means the inning continues, and the potential tying run comes to the plate, and it's raining harder.
Okay, that's a tough ball to judge. Lorenzo Cain wasn't sure if it was hit harder than it really was, so he kind of hesitated before he came in on that, and he's not happy with his jump. He thinks he should have caught that. But tough read with the rain and all.
And now Mastroianni, who takes inside ball 1. Mastroianni in the past is 2 out of 3 against Holland with a triple and a walk. A little bit high, 2-0. It's still a small strike zone. And every pitch from this point on is going to be very important, because that big storm cell that we've been talking about, I think we've gone from the light green portion of the radar to the dark green, and now we're into the yellow and approaching the orange part.
Head groundskeeper Trevor Vance has his guys on point down there behind that tarp.
3 balls and no strikes. Four-pitch walk. So the tying run is on, and now the go-ahead run will come to the plate, and that go-ahead run is Joe Mauer. 2 walks in the inning. And again, it's Kelvin Herrera warming up behind Greg Holland. I'll bet Dave Island would like to go to the mound and talk to Holland, but that might trigger the rain delay. I mean, we're down to seconds until they put the tarp on the field, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe his first ball hacking here. Right at somebody.
Ball 1 high.
He's rushing. Of course, he wants to get this in here, but he's hurrying, and his lower half is out ahead of his arm, and so he's missing high.
Mauer has homered tonight. That was back in the 1st inning, his first of the year, and his first RBI. There's a strike. All those games that Greg Holland has played against Minnesota, and all the games that Joe Mauer has played against the Royals, and they've only faced each other once, and Mauer's single. 1-2. Good pitch.
It's going to be tough to get a veteran like Mauer out with a split finger in the dirt, so he might have to work his maybe a slider.
Second time that the Royals have been 1 strike away. Dangerous pitch, and Mauer had a good swing and fouled it back.
Hitters will put that barrel under his arm like that, wipe off the water, or between your legs, and use your pants to get that water off, because it's really tough.
We'll do it again. Well, he's a good hitter, I think, in every situation. And with the bases loaded is no exception. And 3 times he has left the ballpark with the bases loaded. This is his first at bat this year with 3 men on. Parmalee at third, Escobar at second, Mastroianni at first. Struck him out. So it wasn't easy, but Holland hangs in there, keeps making pitches. And with that, that'll help him shake off what happened in Philadelphia. It wasn't a typical Greg Holland save, but a save nonetheless. And now the Royals have won 3 straight and the first 2 games of this homestand.
Yeah, good for him. Tough for anybody to pitch in these situations here, but look, if we're going forward here, they're going to have to find a way, break down some film, and show Greg maybe there's a little something off. But he's got to be able to throw strikes. He can't afford to walk anybody if he's going to continue to close down these games. But looked good. His velocity was fine. I don't think there's any injury problem. But thank goodness he got it in here, because the sky's opening up right now.
They are putting the tarp on, as you can see. The handshakes on the field were very abbreviated, just trying to get everybody off the field. And Greg Holland not only saves it for the Royals, but he does so just in time before the big storm. So the Royals have won the series with Minnesota. 7-4 is the final score, and we'll be right back.